Hey guys, I just wanted to tell you about this time when I realized that without knowing it, I had unconsciously picked up somebody else's paradigm. And as soon as I realized it, I had to set it right on back. Okay. So a few months ago, I had set an intention that I wanted to be associated with some really what I felt like were A-list media organizations. One of those was The Atlantic. Then, lo and behold, like 10 days later, The Atlantic messages me on LinkedIn asking if I'll speak at their Pursuit of Happiness Summit at the Ritz-Carlton Half Moon Bay. And I'm like, yes, actually, I will. So I go give this talk on the daily rituals of the radically fruitful, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. The talk is beautiful, the audience is beautiful, the place is beautiful, the event is perfectly organized. I leave the room, and an agent comes up to me, a literary agent, and he's like, "Who are you, and where have you been? And like, how come I don't know who you are? What this is like magnificent." And I was like, exactly, bruh. But so as we continued to have this conversation about what my next book projects were going to be, and what my vision for my career and for the business are, and how books and publishing are part of that. I started to talk about him about my past experiences with publishing, and I have written 3 books. My last book was a wonderful book that was very, very well received, but it didn't sell a whole lot of copies. And that was always, and as I was telling him, I was like thinking through it in real time, thinking through like my metabolizing of that experience, processing that experience in real time. And I always had this thought process that I didn't care how many books I sold. I just wanted to write beautiful, transformational, impactful, powerful things. And then I have total trust in divine order and timing that if 3 people bought the book, those 3 people would be the just right people. And they would show up, it would be like me broadcasting this signal that magnetizes in the just right people, places, things, opportunities. And that has been true. That was true actually across my books. My very first book was self-published. It resulted, plot twist, plot twist, plot twist. It resulted in a very, very profitable relationship that I had for years with HGTV, and it also, resulted in the plot twist that led to me going to work at Trulia and becoming a marketer in tech, and then becoming a marketing executive at MyFitnessPal, where we sold the company for $500 million. And it was like that book, and writing it without caring about how many were sold, did turn out to be a very, 7-figure level profitable thing for me in the long run. The same with my last book. Maybe I don't know how many people bought it, but it wasn't that many people. But those people are the CEOs of the companies that have hired me to consult. Are many of those people have become Soul Tour members, even though that's, it's the book was called The Transformational Consumer. It's about business and marketing, but it is secretly about answering your sacred, fulfilling your sacred contracts, just doing it in the form of a business, right? Or a brand or a book. So that thought through line has been true, but it's limiting, and it's unnecessary. There is an inner conflict in it. It's unnecessarily limiting. So as I was talking it through with this agent, I heard myself say, I asked him, "Do you remember Robert Kiyosaki, the rich dad, poor dad guy?" This guy is still around, I think. He wrote this series of incredibly, incredibly, incredibly commercially successful books called Rich Dad, Poor Dad series about real estate investing. And I remember years ago when I was in real estate, hearing him or reading an interview with him in which someone had sort of lobbied at him the criticism that the books were not well written. And I will never forget, his response was, "I'm a best-selling author, not a best writing author." And I remember that blowing my mind, and me being like, I just never would want to be that. I would never I care about substance and meaning and transformation and impact and beauty. I want to write things that move people, that open up their chests, that actualize a potential with them. I care about that. So I realized I had picked up his paradigm that best selling and best writing don't go together. And as I was sharing that thought process and having the epiphany that I had picked up this untrue paradigm, I was having this in real time as I was talking with this literary agent. I was like, I rebuke that paradigm. I rebuke it now because best selling and best writing can absolutely go together. And also hold my champagne, watch me go write some best written, best selling titles starting now, starting like the day I had that realization, that conversation. So I just wanted to share that because a lot of times, if there's something that you know is a potential that you have within you and it's just not quite happening, you're trying to take action, you're taking action, you're doing, you've got the inspired download of an idea or a dream or a vision or a goal, and you're trying to move forward on it, but it's not quite you're just not quite firing on all cylinders, and you believe that you're not quite fulfilling your potentials on that topic. A lot of times there is an inner conflict between your belief and your vision and your values and your identity and your actions and your systems. And one of those systems that can hold a lot of inner conflict is your belief systems, your paradigms, right? So look for where there may be a paradigm, a belief deep, deep, deep within you. Sometimes you may not even realize it until you're explaining to somebody else what had happened or why you're, not quite yet fulfilling your potential on a topic. Um, Look for those paradigms that just are not true. Look for the assumptions that you've been making, the assumption that best selling can't be best written, for example, right? And look for where you've picked up somebody else's paradigm, um, because once you see that it's somebody else's, you can just set that bad boy right on down, burn it, throw it away, throw it entirely away. Now, I want to give you one exception, one caveat. There is a time when you should pick up somebody else's paradigm. If somebody enters your life or enters your consciousness and speaks a paradigm that is like shocking to you, it shatters what you formerly believed. Um, in a way that is expansive to you, where you're like, oh, wait, well, if that, then my possibility, what I now believe is, if I believe that paradigm, if I pick that up from them, then what I know to be possible for me is bigger than what I thought it was before I picked that up. Pick that paradigm up. Okay. And you may have to pick that one up and then set it down and then pick another one up as you move through what Dr. Young would have called the spirals of your own spiritual growth and self-mastery, as you move through the timeline of spiritual maturity and maturity in your own life. You may, try on and set down paradigms that feel expansive. Try this one on. Okay, great. You get some expansion out of it. And then, you'll hit an upper limit. We all do. If you are doing life right and you're continually growing, you will continue to hit upper limits on, how good your life can get before you start sabotaging yourself every time reach to a new level. So the growth is to continue hitting those upper limits and to continue getting really good at practicing how you can release them, right? Um, Including seeing what needs seeing in your paradigms, in your belief system, so you can incinerate or gently set down the ones that are limiting you, and so that you can receive and pick up the ones that are expanding you. All right, loves. That's all for today. Watch whose paradigms you pick up.